G'day guys, welcome to Kozzie TV and welcome to the very first Kozzie Bros podcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, this is where we're going to just talk shit basically. Talk shit about anything that we really want, but I know a lot of people, they want to know about, Australian culture, they want to know about what's it like in Australia, especially our Korean viewers at home. But I thought today we'd talk about us a little bit.
Just us?
Just us.
A lot of horse shit?
Yeah, a lot of horse shit. So, we're Korean Australian,
Yes,
right?
we are.
Korean Australian. What do you think you are more? Do you think you're more Korean or do you think you're more Australian?
Honestly, that's a good question. Now that I've been in Korea for about, how long? I forget. 15 years now.
15 years?
I feel that I'm more kind of Korean right now.
Why do you think so?
Because when I first came to Korea, I could not adapt to this kind of new environment. People, culture, the eating speed, habits, 존댓말, which is, using honorific language.
Yeah.
A lot of things. But nowadays, I've become very, very Korean. And even Koreans call me 꼰대.
Really?
Which is a term that you don't really use to like a Korean American or Korean Australian, whatever, things like people like them. So I think I can say I'm very much Korean now.
What do you think are the mannerisms of your Koreanness?
Mannerism?
Like, do you think like your personality changes like when you're speaking Korean compared to like when you're speaking like in English?
I think language plays a big role because it's very different. Like if you meet, people who are older than you or people who are like much higher than you in the social hierarchy, the way you speak to them has to change like 180 degrees. Like I would not be able to talk like this to my senior like I do to Walter. I'll get fired right away. I'll get slapped the shit out of me. But so I think the language plays a big part.
Yeah.
And that really changes, the way you talk, and that changes, how you act.
Yeah.
How you behave.
Yeah.
And that really kind of changes your personality as well, even your expressions as well. So I think language plays a big role.
Yeah, for me, language plays a big role because I was born here, but like I was adopted out, and I never really got to learn the language. So for me, I learned all my Korean from textbooks and things like that. So mine's very formal. Like all my friends make fun of me because I always have the textbook style, like Korean, and
including myself.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way I was like sadly taught. I didn't get the privilege to grow up naturally like Kihoon here. But for me, language is a key component of why maybe I feel more Australian than Korean. But I was born here. That's the thing. But you and I, you kind of identify yourself as like more Korean, but you're an Australian citizen.
I am.
Yeah.
I feel very lucky to be an Australian citizen. But I only feel, the difference when I'm around guys.
Yeah.
When we talk about 군대, the army.
Yeah.
And they would always ask me, "Hey, so you've been to the army?" And I say, "No."
No, we haven't.
I say I couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't say, "Oh, I didn't." I say I actually couldn't go. I want to.
Yeah.
But because of my citizenship, I cannot go. And they're like, "You're just being a dickhead." I'm like, I am being a dickhead, but that's, I guess, the biggest difference, and it's a big privilege for us.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's not that for Kihoon especially, it's not that he purposely got an Australian citizenship just to
not go to the army.
Not to go to the army, right? There's a lot of like incentives being an Australian citizen as well.
Definitely.
But for me, like, I'm glad I couldn't go to the army, to be honest with you. I hear there's a lot of, I hear it's getting better, but there's still a lot of problems these days, I guess. But
imagine, because you're not that comfortable with Korean, right?
No.
And they're not going to speak English to you.
Of course not. Of course not.
So you would have had a very hard time. But one upside that we can kind of say, let's say if we're allowed to, we both play soccer and we love playing soccer and we're not bad at it. So I heard like from my friends, if you're really good at soccer, they give you extra vacation.
Oh, really?
This happened like maybe like long time ago, not anymore. But if you were like a star player in the army, in the base, like the top soldiers will actually give you extra day or two.
Oh, okay.
For vacation and stuff like that. So
well, that may have played into our hand a bit.
Maybe.
Do you sort of like miss Australia?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're allowed to swear, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. Fuck oath.
Yeah. Fucking oath, mate. Hell yeah. I do because when I look up at the sky.
Yeah.
And I can literally see fine dust.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is in Seoul right now. It's always been bad. I don't know from when, but every time I see the sky, I love being in nature, and I am a nature guy.
Yeah.
Every time I cannot see a clear sky, I think about Sydney right away.
Yeah, right.
It just pops up immediately, and I just miss seeing obviously clear skies, this clean air, less cars, less pollution. You can hear like birds chirping.
That's like one thing I miss. No, that seems funny.
Yeah,
but
I know, but it's not funny at all. It's
one thing I really miss is like one of our friends went to Australia recently, and I said to her like, "Did you hear the birds chirping in the morning?" And she was like, "Yeah." Like that's one thing that she found really interesting. But that's one thing I miss is that was like my alarm clock is the birds.
The kookaburras.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Or the cockatoos or any of those birds. If you're like a Korean living in Australia at the moment, you'll definitely understand what we're talking about. Like, you can't get that in Korea. It's just traffic.
You either hear the traffic or cats just screaming because they want to have sex.
Yeah, exactly. Stray cats. We should be nice to the stray cats.
I got nothing against stray cats, but sometimes no, it's not going to.
Yeah, it's not going
It's not the best sound you want to wake up to.
Exactly.
It's very different to Australia, and that's what I miss the most.
Yeah.
And just like the general laid back, kind of relaxed environment, and the people as well,
So you went to school in Australia, though?
I did.
Yeah. Did you hang out with like a lot of Koreans, or was it like a lot of whiteys, or like?
It was pretty much everyone except Koreans.
Oh, really?
I didn't really get along with Koreans. One, because there weren't many Koreans when I first went to Australia.
Oh, okay.
There would only be like one or two. And they were actually the smart ones.
Oh, really?
They actually knew what they were doing in class. And I was the complete opposite. I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't really pick up the language at first. So I was more of the sporty one. Sporty one. So I would just hang around a lot of, I had like diverse friends, like Indians, a lot of Arabs, like Lebanese, and of course white people, it's like Australians, because I used to play all sorts of sports like AFL.
Yeah.
I'm sure many of our Kozzie viewers know what AFL is.
Yes.
Or NRL, league. We call it league as well. And there's also union that everyone else knows.
Yeah.
So, and cricket as well.
Yeah, I played a lot of cricket. There's no Koreans will understand what cricket is. But basically it's the I guess the Australian equivalent of baseball. For me, I grew up in the countryside, like real deep country. I'm talking like my school was no bigger than my primary school was like 70 kids.
70?
70 kids. And I was the only Asian in my primary school. In my high school, I was like one out of 3 different Asian people. And so all my friends were white or Aboriginal or whatever. So I grew up really, really Aussie. Like I was almost ashamed of being like Korean.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I didn't meet my first Korean person until I was like in my teens.
Holy.
Yeah, that's a long time to go like without meeting another Korean person, right?
Did you kind of like get bullied or?
Tons of bullied.
Were they really racist?
Oh yeah. It's like even though like a lot of the time the Aboriginals used to get bullied because I was the only Asian, all the other Aboriginals and white people they ganged up on me. Oh. So because I was so different, but it was what it was back then, and now Koreans are everywhere in Australia, right?
So, like, how do you overcome that racism?
Oh, for me,
separation.
I just had to like. It sounds like old school and like, but I just sucked it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I just sucked it up and just. It sucked at first because, like I said, it was like an identity crisis. Like I didn't want to be Korean. But then eventually I had no other choice and just had to suck it up. And yeah. But now these days, Koreans are everywhere in Australia. It's very diverse. You're lucky to live in Sydney because there was probably a lot of Koreans.
Oh, there were quite a few.
Yeah. For me, in the middle of nowhere, I was very different upbringings in a way of city boy, country boy.
Yeah, even though we lived in the same country, I think the way we grew up in Sydney, in Australia, was very different. I guess I can say I was a bit more privileged to have more Asians in my class or in my school. And the funny thing was, when I told my friends, they would ask me, "Hey, where are you from?
Yeah,
China."
It's always China.
It's always China. If you have black hair, it's like, are you Chinese? Ching Chong?
Exactly.
Ching Chong, China?
Exactly.
And then I'll say, no, I'm from Korea.
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, North Korea.
Yes.
Oh.
never south. At that time, never south. It was these are the ones that would go in order. It'd usually go Chinese, Japanese, then whatever, like Vietnamese or like Korean wouldn't even be in the top 5 or like no one knew where Korea was.
Exactly. I would say like South Korea, but they'll be like, they're South?
Yeah.
You mean you're North Korean?
Yeah.
Oh, and they would just tease me and say, "Oh, don't kill me," Kim Jong Il, stuff like that.
Kim Jong Il was
back then it was Kim Jong Il, not Kim Jong Un.
Yeah.
And I would just go home and sometimes cry. I was really upset. I'm saying, Mom, why? I had the same crisis as you. I was like, why am I so Asian? Why do I have small eyes? Why can't I be white? Why can't I have yellow hair? Blonde eyes? And then Mom would say, hey, just be proud of who you are,
Yeah.
That's it is what it is, Like she told me to suck it up. That's what she wanted to tell me. But she said,
in a motherly way.
In a motherly way, she said, it's okay, you can overcome it. They'll accept you one day. And they ended up accepting me because of all the sports that I played.
Yeah.
And I was actually quite good at all those sports that I played. And that's why they were very accepting. They're like, hey, you want to join my team? And they would fight over me. Like,
oh, really?
A fat Asian kid who was good at sports.
Oh, you were fat when you were young, yeah?
I was quite fat. I'll share a pic. Nah, I shouldn't.
Well, if you want to see a chubby picture of Kihoon, then you can leave a comment. But
please don't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like it.
Yeah. Well, I was the opposite, man. Like, I loved playing sport, but I was never accepted in any sport teams. Never.
Why?
Because, to be honest with you, I wasn't that great in high school. And listen...
Were you Unco? Because that was a word that we used in high school.
It's pretty...
You're a fucking Unco.
Yeah,
You're so Unco. Like uncoordinated.
Uncoordinated,
yeah, it's
right?
a short form of...
Uncoordinated.
Yeah.
I think what it was I was a bit of a pothead back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad, like, how can I say this in a nice way? I hung around the wrong people.
You can't say it in a nice way.
Yeah. I hung around the wrong people, and I did all the bad stuff in my younger days, smoked cigarettes, drank alcohol. Like, I smoked cigarettes from the age of, like, 10 because I lived in the countryside where there was no CCTV and there was just a corner shop and we would steal.
There was nothing better to do.
Nothing better to do. There was zero.
Smoke and drink.
The closest cinema or theatre was like maybe an hour and a half away by driving. That's how far remote I was. And that growing up that way really changed my identity. Like I wanted to be more Western. But then I met a bunch of Koreans and they were really like welcoming, loving, and like always wanting to protect me.
Were there Koreans like you or like fobs?
They were fobs,
fobs.
Fresh off the boat.
Fresh off the boat.
They were the ones that come down for the working holidays or student visas. Those guys were actually a big reason why I moved to Korea. Because I felt like, these people are so caring and loving. I could come to Korea and feel like that.
Oh, so they had a big influence in you coming to Korea, back to Korea.
Huge influence.
Oh,
and then when I came to Korea, it was completely different. Like I looked the part of a Korean, but I didn't speak the part of a Korean. So every time I would talk to like when I very first came to Korea, I didn't speak any Korean at all. So like people would like, even going into the store or a cafe, I'd be like, can I get a like?
Oh, so you spoke English?
Yeah, I spoke because I couldn't speak Korean at all, and so people were shocked because, like I said, I looked Korean. Everything about me looked Korean,
and back then we didn't have papago.
That's true. Like when I came into Korea in 2013, there was smartphones, but there was not like a lot of applications,
right.
Not a lot of AI, zero AI. So I came at it at a time where there's no Papago to help you. If you're watching Papago, you can sponsor this video if you like.
Hell yeah.
Or anything that we could possibly be showing. There's nothing. Yeah, water.
Like water?
Yeah.
I love water. Bottled water.
But yeah, so these days, I guess, now that I've been living in Korea for so long, I would consider myself 50-50. 50-50. Because I have a family here now. I speak, not fluently, but I do speak the language a bit. And I'm just so used to Korea's busy lifestyle.
Then when do you feel Australian? Like,
that's a
while
good
in
one.
Korea, like when do you feel most Australian?
When do I feel most Australian?
Like when you eat Vegemite?
Yeah, which is often.
Every day, every morning. Every brekkie.
The times I feel really Australian is when I get jobs that require my Australian accent.
Oh, really?
And like, I've gotten a fair few jobs because like they're not great jobs.
That's why I couldn't get any jobs related to Australian English.
Because I'm
this
stealing,
guy was fucking stealing all my stuff.
Stealing all the jobs here. But that's just the way.
Oh, so that's when you feel like the most Australian.
Yeah.
When you get like Aussie content related gigs. You feel very Aussie inside.
Yeah, it's.
So whenever he gets paid, whenever he makes money through like Aussie content, he feels Aussie.
To be honest with you, it happens a lot. So, like, I'm so blessed to be known as the guy on Kozzie TV. Like I do get recognized from time to time, which is flattering. But
so what made you start this channel? Like,
it was to help Koreans
was it
moving.
Money?
Yeah.
No, of course it wasn't.
Money. It cost the money. I've been doing this channel since 2019. Haven't made more than a couple of $100 off it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, promise. You need to be on a lot of subscribers to start making money. I promise you that I have not even made $200-300 off this.
So I think we'll start making money from now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm here to help out,
Exactly. Now that the star of the show is now here.
He has a family to,
Yeah.
feed.
I need a family to feed, so that's
and
why.
I need the money to start a family, so that's why I started. No, we're joking.
Yeah. No, we're not joking. we all need.
We are very, very serious.
Yes, we are very poor.
Anyway, so.
But like for you, when do you feel most, I guess, Aussie?
Honestly, a few months ago, there was the Asian Cup, right?
Oh.
And in quarterfinals, it was South Korea against Australia.
Yeah.
And many of my colleagues were asking me, hey, so who are you going to cheer for? Australia? And I actually couldn't say no.
Oh, really?
So it took me a while to answer the question. And they were like, really? You're going to support Australia? What the hell? You're in Korea, you look Korean, you are Korean.
Yeah.
You're going to support Australia. And I had that kind of, conflict in myself. I was like, of course I'll cheer for Korea. But deep inside, I really didn't mind who would win. But if Australia won,
you wouldn't.
I think they would have won the cup.
I reckon they would
all the way to win the cup.
Well, they've won it before. I remember. Let's not talk too much sport, but I remember they won the Asian Cup before. But that's interesting that that's when you feel the most Australian as well. It's sport for you. I think
I feel I have a strong attachment with sport and Australia.
Yeah. Well, because in Australia we play a lot of sports when growing up, and I guess it's the same in Korea, but it's just a different kind of sport.
There's also one more thing. Like when I still have many friends that I knew from Sydney, back from Sydney, and they came to Korea just like me, and they've all settled in. Some are married, some have kids, and we have like a regular gathering, like a monthly thing, or even bi-weekly, and we'll just do things that we enjoy, like play like screen golf, or just go out. Just have nice food, and that's when I feel like, oh man, yeah, good old days. We used to have fun back in Sydney. We used to do this and that. Now we're so old.
Do you speak English to them, or do you speak Korean to them?
I speak both, but when I do start speaking English, like everyone else will start speaking English, like Aussie English, and I'll feel like at home and so comfortable. And because we share a lot of good memories. Sometimes I talk to one or two friends who still lives in Sydney.
Yeah.
And they just say, hey, just come, pay a visit. You can sleep in my room, or the other room. Not the same room. I'm like, you own a house? And they're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. So like, even my cousin who lives in Sydney, he owns his own house. Of course, they're paying back the mortgage, but it's still under their name. So I'm thinking, maybe if I, stayed in Sydney, I too could have, perhaps owned a house, but...
A lot of my Korean friends who went to Australia actually became really successful in Australia. I got like a couple of friends who are cafe owners and are doing quite well in like... I've got friends who own restaurants and doing well in that. And like I guess it's different for me because obviously I'm Australian, Korean Australian, but they're Korean who went to Australia and then made a massive successful business. And so I want to do that in the reverse order.
In Korea.
So I want to have a successful business or production team or whatever. So I haven't quite made it yet, but I guess...
But you're getting there. You're in the right track.
Yes. Kozzie TV needs to grow. But I think that will wrap it up for today. I think we talked about a lot, but tell us what you guys think. Like, are you a Korean Australian? Do you feel more Korean? Do you feel more Australian? Are you a Korean living in Australia? Do you feel like you're getting more attached to Australia? And if so, let us know in the comments. And well, this is the first episode.
Yeah.
And there's going to be many more to come. I hope you guys liked it. And like we said in our last video, we're going to give Kihoon the benefit, or the let's say the privilege to say.
Oh, let me get this right. Click the
No, you didn't even get that right. Yeah, let's go again.
Press the like button.
Yep.
Hit the subscribe button.
Yep.
And leave a comment.
Yes.
A nice comment.
A nice comment.
Or if you want to leave a bad comment, it has to be bad.
Really bad.
It has to piss me off.
Yeah. Okay? And like that's the fun of it. Just let's try and piss each other off. Yeah. But anyway, guys, we'll see you next time, Kihoon. I'll see you on the next episode.
Will do.
Right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.